Okay, let's continue our discussion about section 9.2. And by looking at multiplying polynomials, I'm just going to do a quick recap so that we have some things filled in and so you have a note about it to look back at. Remember, we talked about this concept of FOIL in class. And when we talked about FOIL and that word, we talked about that it tells us that we need to do 4 multiplications to make sure that we get our binomial times our binomial. So when we do these problems in particular, when we talked about 3 different methods. The first one we talked about was the box method. With the box method, remember, because we have a binomial times a binomial, we can make a 2 by 2 box and then multiply. You take the outsides of each box to multiply. So x times x to get x squared. X times 2 to get positive 2x. X times 3 to get positive 3x. And 3 times 2 to get positive 6. To get to our answer then, all we have to do is combine like terms. And instead of our like terms being stacked, they're now on the diagonal. So that x squared is all by itself. 2x plus 3x gives us 5x. And 6, that constant, is all by itself to get to that answer. The second thing we talked about then was old school version, using all the arrows and doing it as a double distribution. It's still a binomial times a binomial. It still requires 4 multiplications and then a combined like terms. So that F in FOIL technically stands for the word first. So we take the first term of a binomial times the first term of the binomial. So x times x is x squared. Then we do the outers. The O in FOIL stands for outer. So on the outside of the binomials, we have x times negative 5. So that we get negative 5x. I in FOIL stands for inners. We need to do the inner term times the inner term. So they're on the inside. 4 times x gives us plus 4x. And the L in FOIL stands for last. We need to multiply the last terms. So positive 4 times negative 5 to get negative 20. Then we simply combine like terms. X squared does not have any like terms. Negative 5x and positive 4x to get negative 1x. And negative 20 has no like terms, so minus 20. In class, I asked you to recall how these 4 multiplications are the same 4 multiplications we did in our box method. They just are in a horizontal line, and we used arrows as an organizational tool. So we did the exact same 4 multiplications. We just formatted them and we laid them out in a different location. The third method we talked about was using an old school multiplication, like when we learned in elementary school. We simply lined up our 2 terms, or rather our 2 binomials, and we started multiplying. We still need to do 4 multiplications. So we do negative 2 times negative 1, so that's positive 2. Negative 1 times x, so that's negative 1x, or negative x. We do x times, I forgot my place holding 0. Place holding 0. Then we do x times negative 2, that's negative 2x. And finally we do x times x, which gives us x squared. Then, just like with old school, we do addition. 2 plus 0 is 2. Negative 1x and negative 2x. So that's negative 3x. And we have an x squared. 4 multiplications, except this time now we have a place holding 0 as our tool instead of arrows or a box. It's just a matter of keeping yourself organized. As 9.2b,